Today, the home and office of John Bolton were raided by the FBI. Bolton was head of the NSA during the first Trump administration, at least for a while. He is currently one of Donald's perceived political enemies. When asked if he knew ahead of time that the FBI was going to be raiding Bolton's home and office, Donald said he had no idea about it. Breaking news. He's lying. Let's dive in. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Barry Trump Live. It is wonderful to be here with you. It's Friday. We made it. Congratulations. To celebrate that, we actually have some good news for a change. Kilmar Abrego Garcia has been released from custody. This after a 5-month legal battle with the Trump regime, after he was illegally deported to the notorious mega prison in El Salvador, Seco, and later brought back to the United States to face charges of human smuggling. Garcia is finally going home to his family in Maryland. Since returning from El Salvador in June to face federal charges, Abrego Garcia has been incarcerated in Tennessee. But last month, U.S. District Judge Waverly Crenshaw ordered Abrego Garcia's release in 30 days. And the same day Crenshaw issued his ruling, a federal judge in Maryland issued her own ruling that set up guardrails intended to prevent Donald and ICE from deporting him again, with little regard, or no regard at all, actually, for Abrego Garcia's due process rights. Whether or not these legal decisions will be followed, of course, remains to be seen. So, amazing news, and congratulations to Abrego Garcia and his family. Here's the problem, though. This man lost 5 months of his life because of the lawlessness of a fascistic regime that constantly tramples upon all of our constitutional rights, or I should say the constitutional right all of us have in this country to due process. So, while yes, it is important that this injustice has been addressed, the wrongs have not been righted, have they? 5 months in a notorious gulag in another country because the Trump regime decided that this man was a criminal when he was not. Used as a pawn so the Trump regime could make its point that nobody in this country they deem unfit to be in this country is safe. So Donald and ICE and the Department of Homeland Security are going to continue to illegally deport others, just as they are continuing the hostile takeover of our democratic cities. This is continuing to unfold in D.C., but at a press conference in the Oval Office, Donald took yet another shot to threaten another democratic city that so far has flown under the radar. Take a look at this.
So, I really am honored that the National Guard has done such an incredible job working with the police. And we haven't had to bring in the regular military, which we're willing to do. We have to. And after we do this, we'll go to another location and we'll make it safe also. We're going to make our country very safe. We're going to make our cities very, very safe. Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent. And we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this. And it won't even be tough. And the people in Chicago, Mr. Vice President, are screaming for us to come. They're wearing red hats, just like this one. But they're wearing red hats. African-American ladies, beautiful ladies, are saying, please, President Trump, come to Chicago. Please. I did great with the black vote, as you know, and they want something to happen. So I think Chicago will be our next, and then we'll help with New York, and we're going to...
Could somebody just give him a cookie or something? My God. Shut up. Also, I know it's not the most important thing, but what was that hideous gold thing on his desk? I know it doesn't matter, but really? All right. I would like to see Donald try to take over Chicago, just as I'd like to see him try to take over New York. I have a feeling, at least in the since he's threatening Chicago now, I'm pretty sure that the governor of Illinois, the state in which Chicago is, J.B. Pritzker, would not particularly take kindly to the hostile takeover of his major city. Donald seems not to understand that there actually are a lot of people, probably most people on the planet, who are smarter and tougher and savvier than he is. He also doesn't exactly know how to play the long game. And as we saw in that clip, he is a completely deluded man who spends most of his waking hours protecting himself from his very weak ego, right? So he may think that there are a lot of people in Chicago wearing red hats and that Black Americans support him in vast numbers. But I'm pretty sure at some point he just has to bang up against the reality that none of that is true. And in blue cities like Chicago and New York and DC and Los Angeles, etc., we actually hate his guts and don't want him anywhere near us. Donald was asked how long he planned to keep the military occupying U.S. cities. And by the way, I think it is very important to remember when he says so casually, we'll send the military in if we have to. We have the right to do that. No, you don't. You do not have the right to deploy active military on U.S. soil. That's in the Constitution. Remember that thing you and your party lit on fire back in 2016? But we need to keep reminding other people what a dangerous lie it is that he can just, at his whim, use the military to police U.S. cities, because this is all part of the project of abusing his power so that he can stay in power. Take a look.
Well, I don't know if there is a deadline, because if I declare a national emergency, which this was, that ends the deadline. So, I mean, I keep saying about a 30-day deadline, of which we have 22 days left or something, but if I think we're in great shape here, that's one thing, but if I don't, I'm going to just say it's a national emergency, and if I have a national emergency, I can keep the troops there as long as I want.
Yeah, that's a great system we have in place here. Of course, Congress could stop this, but the fascist Republicans in Congress aren't going to lift a finger to stop this. So I think we just have to remind ourselves that 74 million Americans thought that it was a good idea to put that guy in charge of this country and to safeguard American cities. A man who thinks that on a whim, he can declare a state of emergency to commit illegal, unconstitutional actions that threaten all of us. So this is simply a bid, as I said earlier, for unlimited power to keep troops in DC for an unlimited amount of time, all while he's also escalating the efforts that are already playing out. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered National Guard troops to start carrying firearms while patrolling the streets of Washington, which sounds like a brilliant idea. The Defense Department, of course, didn't offer any other details as to why this massive escalation was needed, but Hegseth referred to it as common sense on social media. Yeah, common sense. As you know, the White House press briefing has become a version of a daily crime blotter, while Caroline Leavitt simply tells us how many arrests have been made in DC since the National Guard has been deployed and what those arrests were for. I was struck by early on her letting us know that some of the arrests were for carrying ammunition and carrying firearms. And I was struck because since when do Republicans have a problem with Americans carrying weapons around, loaded or otherwise? Well, now Jeanine Pirro, who is the U.S. attorney in the District of Columbia and a wildly incompetent hack and ideologue, apparently they're going to make it legal for citizens in DC to carry weapons. This sounds like it's going to be an incredibly awesome mix of horrors. So citizens are going to be armed, National Guardsmen are going to be armed. Where will this end? And what is the end game? Donald is also trying to overpower his perceived political enemies. As I mentioned at the top of the show, the FBI searched the home and office of John Bolton, Donald's former national security advisor, and who has, in the ensuing years, become a loud critic of his former boss. The inquiry is into whether Bolton illegally shared or possessed classified information. Here's CBS News Chief Washington analyst Robert Costa with more.
The context of this FBI raid is important. It's personal in some respects. President Trump, during his first term, was frustrated with John Bolton, the former UN ambassador and national security advisor, for his memoir about his time as Trump's national security advisor, and made a claim. We haven't seen evidence of this, but he made a claim that Bolton used classified material at some level in this best-selling book a few years ago. And now that he's back in the White House, there is clearly scrutiny, sources tell me, on Bolton's files and whether he might have classified material in any way from that book project. This also comes as many national security officials from the first Trump administration and the Biden administration are in the spotlight from the Justice Department and the FBI for any kind of alleged conduct about the investigation into Russia's interference in the 2016 election. There's been a revival behind the scenes in interest inside the Trump administration about that. So you're seeing a raid in part because of the book suspicion inside the administration and the Justice Department. We're not exactly clear, though, what prompted it at this point.
There's absolutely no doubt that Donald has ordered this and he's behind all of this. And it's not the first time he's come after Bolton. During his first term, he used his Justice Department to open a criminal investigation. Bolton had just published his book, The Room Where It Happened, which painted Donald and the White House in a rather unfavorable light. In recent days, Bolton has been extremely outspoken against Donald as he met with President Vladimir Putin of Russia on American soil, and then President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine. After Bolton said that Donald's summit in Alaska with Putin was a victory for Putin, Donald called him out on his failed social media platform, calling him, quote unquote, really dumb and a loser. Ooh, that must have stung. Now, Bolton is back under investigation. This is a classic case of political retribution and yet another example of Donald's inability to withstand criticism, which is a terrible quality for a commander-in-chief, by the way. It is a terrible quality for somebody who has such vast reserves of power, who has the nuclear codes, to be so thin-skinned that he cannot handle criticism from somebody who comparatively has no power, who has no platform. But that is who is in charge of this country. Donald also continues his attack on the arts. The Kennedy Center is one of the central victims of his plans to dismantle the arts in America. Today in the Oval Office, he shared his plan to rename the center, and I apologize in advance. Take a look.
December 5th of this year, the 2026 FIFA World Cup draw will take place at the Kennedy Center. Some people refer to it as the Trump Kennedy Center, but we're not prepared to do that quite yet, maybe in a week or so.
Nobody except you tiny little man, is referring to the Kennedy Center as the Trump Center. Okay. And that is not the appropriate place to something about football. I mean, that is not what the Kennedy Center is for. Now, here's the thing. The right has accused the left of shoving our ideologies, our culture, our views of the world down their throats, right? Simply because we don't think people should have fewer rights because they're different from us in some way. They've accused us of trying to turn everybody gay or trans. They've accused us of trying to give people of color more rights than they have. They've accused us of insulting them by waging wars on Christmas. And I don't know, not letting them go to NASCAR. None of that is true. The irony, the right is trying to make every aspect of American life NASCAR and MMA fights. Why can't we have spaces that are dedicated to the arts? Why can't we have spaces that are dedicated to, I don't know, honor and decency? Does everything have to be a WWE match? Apparently, yes. In Donald Trump's America, it does. Because, you know what? I'll just leave it at that. Donald's statement comes on the heels of the Kennedy Center firing its director of dance programming on Thursday in another attempt to reshape the institution since Donald has taken control. I mean, I get, is it just going to be line dancing now? I mean, there's nothing wrong with line dancing, but can we have other kinds of dancing? Can we have ballet, modern dance, like hip hop? Seriously? Like, does it always just have to be what they want? And the answer is yes, I believe it does. The director, Jane Rowley, and 2 other full-time dance programmers were dismissed amid tensions with the center's leadership. I can't imagine what they are. Rowley, who worked at the Kennedy Center for more than a decade, said her termination letter attributed the action to a, quote, loss of confidence, unquote, in her leadership, and, quote, the ability of the department is currently constituted to align with the priorities of the Kennedy Center, unquote. They only want white dancing represented, apparently. So what is that exactly? Other than line dance? Waltzing? I don't know. And what I continue not to understand is why more people aren't more upset that that person, that cultural illiterate, that man who has no sense, no aesthetic sense, and no regard for the arts in any way, shape, or form, be given the power to reshape America according to his vision of it. But he has that power now. And we see this with the Kennedy Center, just as we're seeing it with the Smithsonian museums and the ways in which the National Institute of the Arts and other agencies are being defunded. Donald will get rid of anybody who stands in his way. So, as I try to do whatever humanly possible, we must remember, as we far too often forget in this country, the arts are the pinnacle of human achievement. Again, in my view, that is the whole point of being human, is to be a creative, empathetic being who values fulfilling the best of our human potential. That doesn't mean everybody has to go to the opera. That doesn't mean everybody has to read Victorian literature or romantic poetry. It doesn't mean that everybody has to go to the Frick Museum every Saturday. No. Art is all encompassing. It may not seem like it, but there is art for everybody. I grew up in New York City in the 70s. Graffiti was one of the most powerful media in my lifetime. Graffiti is art, right? Clothes design is art. And if you don't believe me, check out the costume design on Outlander. Okay? Seriously. Art is everywhere if we know where to look for it. It is not trapped in amber. It is not only about the past. It doesn't have to be pretentious or snobbish or sophisticated. Art is everywhere. Art can be enjoyed by anybody. We are all artists if we only allow ourselves to be. If we allow ourselves to value our creative impulses and potential. But in order for that to happen, we need leaders who understand that. John Kennedy understood that. The president, not the horrific senator. He understood that, which is why the Kennedy Center is named after him. Nobody in our government understands that or cares about that. So it is up to us to protect that which is most valuable about being a human being. Okay. We made it. Sort of. So first we breathe. Don't forget the exhaling part. It's very important. Holding your breath is not relaxing at all. All right. Our final emotional support moment of the week. And it has been a week, has it not? So, I mean, in future, I think our emotional support moment on Friday should be like 10 hours long. But, and you guys could just like check in and out. But tonight, sometimes you just need the ocean and its giant inhabitants. Just off of Australia's coast, we're going to watch whales gliding, leaping through the waves. Whales, again, are gargantuan. They're the largest creatures on Earth, but they are surprisingly graceful, and watching them is a way to slow down, bring our blood pressure down, slow down our breathing, and just remember how lucky we are to live on this extraordinarily beautiful planet and be part of the rhythm of nature and share this world with creatures like whales. I hope that helped kick the weekend off on the right foot. I was actually talking to the team earlier today, and I know that the shows have been a little bit on the short side this week. And weirdly, I know it doesn't feel like it, but it has been kind of a slow news week. Doesn't feel like it because what's happened, all of the things that have been happening are incredibly serious and important, and in some cases alarming. So anyway, that's why the shows have been a little short, but hopefully substantive, because the depredations continue apace, and we want to keep our eyes on all of it, and also though not lose sight of other things that sometimes go under the radar, like the fact, for example, that Donald Trump's name appears many times in the Jeffrey Epstein files that he promised for years to release. Like, we don't want that to go under the radar. We don't want it to go under the radar that Gaza has been judged to be under famine, or that our ally, Ukraine, is still under assault from a hostile foreign power while it fights not just for itself, but for Western democracy. So let's not let any of those things go under the radar, shall we? Cool. Okay. Let's get your comments, questions, etc. Jules Blade's House for Vets. Julie, that's incredible. Thank you so much. It's really generous. Comment. Hi, Mary. Thanks for all you and your great mods and staff do to put out the truth we're craving. It's tough to swallow sometimes, but necessary. Yesterday was rough and depressing. What the hell? I choose happiness on my 66th birthday today, spending with family. Well, yeah, it's been a rough name your time interval, right? But I agree with you. Choose happiness when you can. And also, happy birthday. That's wonderful. And I'm so glad that you're getting to spend it as you want to. And again, thank you. We have a new member, Stellanera. Thank you very much and welcome. Jane, thank you so very much. Comment. Just finished the first week back to school with some of the best second graders in one of the best elementary schools in Chicago. Fee. That is a very specific fee, and I love it. Elementary school teachers are phenomenal. So I'm glad you are teaching in a great school and that you have fabulous second grade. How can second graders not be fabulous, quite frankly? Second grade, I think, was like one of my favorite years at school. I love my second grade teacher too. I was afraid of her. This is a very quick but funny story. I don't know why she had a reputation for being a bit of a hard ass, and I loved school. But after first grade, her reputation preceded her, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I can handle it. So I promised my parents that I would homeschool myself if they would let me not go to second grade. They shockingly didn't agree to that. And turns out my second grade teacher was one of my favorite teachers ever. See? Diane is a member for 2 months. Thank you so much, Diane. Comment. There's an app called Jaywalk that helps organize protests in your area. Just an FYI. That is excellent information. Jaywalk. I like it. By the way, it's no longer illegal to jaywalk in New York. The fact that it ever was is kind of mind-blowing. And you can imagine how that was misused. Dorothy, thank you so much. As always, this is an Abrego Garcia is free fee. Yes, indeed. That is fabulous. Cindy, one of our super stickers. Thank you, as always, Cindy. That's wonderful. Mighty Cheryl, thank you, as always. Gifted 1 Mary Trump Media membership. Most excellent. Susan, thank you very, very much. Comment, I'm so glad you were a breath of sanity in this insane time of history. Well, thank you. We try. I think we try to stay even-keeled. I wouldn't necessarily say sane, but even-keeled, for sure. Eyes wide open and all. Mighty Cheryl, thank you again. That's wonderful of you. Comment, remembered my question from yesterday, Fee. Question. Was Donnie ever actually interested in religion? It's so weird that he cares about going to heaven. No, he was never interested in religion. Nobody. My grandmother came from a very tiny place in Scotland and grew up among the Calvinists. But I'm telling you, I never they were like knee-jerk Protestants, right? Nobody was religious. I'm pretty sure my dad was an atheist. The only religious person in my family was my Aunt Marianne, who converted to Catholicism when she married her first husband. And it didn't make her a better person, so, why bother? But no, Donald believes in no higher power. Well, let me rephrase. Donald believes that he is a higher power. He doesn't believe in any other higher powers. He does not care about going to heaven. I don't even know what that was about. That was just weird. I think that was some of his unconscious insecurities and terrors coming to the surface. At least I hope so. Kathy is a member for 2 months. Thank you so very much, Kathy. That's great and welcome. Mara, one of our super stickers. Thank you so much, Mara. Much appreciated. Greg, thank you as always. Take over Chicago, popcorn. Don't forget the South Side. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. That is not going to go well for them at all. It's going to be interesting, and I mean, I mean this in a serious way, to see how this all unfolds and to see how blue state governors and Democratic mayors of large cities position themselves to prepare and resist against these, quite frankly, horrific escalations. Susan, thank you so very much, as always. Gifted 5 Barry Trump Media memberships. That is very kind of you. His Divine Scatter, thank you as always to you. Comment, I heard Just Dance Fans was handpicked by Peter Thiel. I wonder how that casting couch audition went. You had to go there, huh? Actually, I don't remember who came up with this. I think it might have been Charlie Pierce. I don't, oh God, it's so frustrating. I don't remember what JD Vance. Well, something, the D in the JD stands for divan, which is just another way of saying couch. So that's my favorite. I wish I could remember what the J stands for. But yeah, Peter Thiel is the person pulling JD Vance's strings. Not that JD Vance is not an actual fascist. He is. But JD Vance would not be anywhere if it weren't for the fact that Peter Thiel, on a whim, decided to buy him a few years ago. Ghostly R59, thank you as always. This is a Trump Trolls Trump blooper reel thing. All right. Hi, Mary. Officially requesting a members only Trump Trolls Trump blooper video from the Mary Trump behind the scenes rock stars. It would be like 7 hours long. Because I'm telling you, it takes us about 4 times as long to record it as the video actually is, because we cannot stop laughing. I think it would be awesome, quite frankly, because we have a lot of fun. And it is somebody on the team referred to it as a really good palate cleanser, because the weeks are long and it is just a good way to kind of shift gears into the weekend. And look, GhostLayer59, check this out. Lizzie Beth says, at GhostLayer59, seconding the blooper reel request. All right, we're on it. Oh boy. Oh boy. Lexi, we're in trouble. Susan, first of all, thank you. And then comment, I second at GhostLayer59. That's for Trump Trolls Trump blooper reel. Please, we need to laugh with you all. Well, in fairness, though, with a blooper reel, you would be laughing at me. So, I mean, I can take it because I'm not psychotic like other people in my family. So I have no problem laughing at myself or having other people laugh within reason. I mean, no, don't be mean about it. And I know you guys wouldn't be. But yes, it's basically just, Well, you'll see. In the middle of nowhere. Holy cow. That is very kind of you. Gifted 5 Mary Trump Media memberships. Thank you so much for that. And Stephanie, thank you. That is very generous. Comment, YouTube won't let me join with a membership fee. Evidently, my iOS device isn't allowed yet by YouTube. That's weird. I don't get it, and I apologize. But you know what? Well, let's work on that. Let's see if we can figure out a way to get around that, because that's very odd to me. YouTube basically runs the world. I mean, YouTube is owned by Google, so it doesn't make any sense. Aaron, thank you so very much for that. Comment, self-awareness is not a right-wing trait. No, it is not. And it's, why? Why is self-awareness not a right-wing trait? Because it's hard. It's hard work. And, being self-aware often means admitting you're wrong and admitting you need to do better and admitting that you failed. They don't like that on the other side, which is why they're so awful and never evolve. Carol, super sticker. Thank you very much, Carol. That's great. Susan, again, thank you so much. Comment. Thank you to Mary, Lexi, Mercedes, and the entire MTM team. It was a hell of a breaking news day. You covered it all. Awesome teamwork. Yes, we have an awesome team, which definitely helps with the working part of it. So thank you for acknowledging that, Susan, because these guys deserve it. In the middle of nowhere, thank you again. You guys are rendering me practically speechless. Comment, my friends and I would get on the train on a Sunday and be in Manhattan in 45 minutes. We would go to MoMA, the Guggenheim, go to FAO Schwartz, use the ladies in the plaza. I now realize how lucky I was to be so enriched. Yeah, because again, like the thing about New York City, yes, it's very expensive to live here. Rent is ridiculous. However, there are lots of universities where I used to live on the Upper East Side years and years ago. I used to go to Hunter College, which would have free art installations. You can go to the Metropolitan Museum, which is one of the greatest museums on the planet, and pay nothing because the fee to get in is a recommendation. Right now, 12th Night, the Shakespeare play, with a phenomenal cast, Lupita Nyong'o, Sandra Oh, and many, many others, is playing for free in Shakespeare in the Park. I mean, in Central Park. Shakespeare in the Park every summer. Free tickets to go see this phenomenal cast of people doing Shakespeare. There's so much available in this city. Dance, studio arts, music that is available to everybody. And we should it just makes you a more open-minded person. And we should make sure that everybody in this country has that kind. Sorry, I just there's a glitch in the system, in the software. Everybody in this country should have those kinds of opportunities. We just don't value it enough. Zella, thank you so very much. As always, much appreciated. Amy, thank you very much. Emotional support whales. Yeah, they are, and they were awesome. Night Owl, Ohio, thank you very much. Comment, my chosen art is quilting. I love the freedom to do whatever I feel like doing and either sticking with a pattern or not. Typically not. Sending hugs. Friend of mine is a phenomenally talented quilter, and it is just incredible to watch how his pieces evolve. I mean, it's just a beautiful, beautiful process. I wish, sometimes I wish I doing something that tactile, just, it's like when I like to write longhand, but it's not quite the same thing. Like doing a craft, it's not my thing. But I so admire people who do crafts like quilting and knitting and what have you, because it's just blows my mind, actually. It takes an entirely different kind of seeing. Alyssa, member for 2 months. Thank you so much and welcome. Comment, thank you for existing and sharing space with us. Well, thank you all for existing and sharing space with us. So right back at you. Stephanie, as a new member. Thank you, Stephanie, and welcome. Richard, thank you very much. Comment, reading my way through Thomas Paine's work, it's very concerning seeing the similarities between then and now. I think I'll try 1984 after I finish. Are you sure you want to do that? Yeah, it is alarming. They would say at Battlestar Galactica, everything that's happening has happened already. Et tu, Brutus, thank you very, very much for that question. Are you a grass expert or other side of the family? I don't know what that means. I apologize. Jana, member for 3 months. Thank you so very, very much. Comment, white dancing equals square dancing. Happy Friday. There you go. That's the word I was trying to think of. Not line dancing, although that's pretty white. Square dancing. Great double entendre. I apologize for my egregious French pronunciation. Okay, Wendy, thank you very much. That's fantastic. Comment, goldfish are feeding on flowers I planted. They are the gold that's the best, not the oval office fake gold. No kidding. Yeah, goldfinches are just beautiful, beautiful birds. And they're little. Joelle, super sticker. Thank you so much, Joelle. Much appreciated. Stephanie, thank you again. That's fantastic. Comment, I was able to join on my laptop and not my iPhone. So yeah, oh, hooray. Thank you. Most excellent. Problem solved. Hazy Trippin' Daisies, a super sticker. Thank you so very much. That is excellent. Mary Pamela gifted 5 Mary Trump Media memberships. Mary, that is very, very generous of you. Thank you so much for that. Bob, thank you very much. Comment, thank you and your team for all that you do. Well, thank you guys for being here. Makes it all worthwhile. Wendy Jean, thank you very, very much for that contribution. Comment, New York City should be treated as a national treasure because it is. I'm a Bostonian. Yeah, New York is, in my view, the greatest city on the planet. It has lots of issues, absolutely. But it is truly one of the most, it's extraordinary. If you haven't been here, try to get here. Suke, thank you. That is excellent. Comment, thank you for your spot on video on the importance of the arts. You know what Woody Guthrie painted on his guitar? This machine kills fascists. Yes, indeed, he did. He did. And he also wrote a song about my grandpa. Old Man Trump. Susan, a member for 2 months. 2 months already. Wow. Awesome. We're glad you're here. All right, everybody. That does it for us because not only is the show over, but my computer is running out of batteries because issues. Anyway, thank you to everybody watching on YouTube, everybody streaming on Twitter and on my Substack, The Good in Us, to everybody listening to the podcast. We appreciate it. To all of our new members, everybody gifting us memberships, to all of our super stickers and everybody giving us donations. Seriously, you guys help us keep the lights on and achieve our goal of growing so that we can reach more people. To our phenomenal moderators who keep this place somewhere we all want to be. That is no easy task, so we appreciate that. And of course, to my amazing team, I appreciate you guys more every day. It has been a rough week, and as always, you pulled through in the most amazing way. So thank you for everything you do. That does it for us. I will be back on Sunday with Ask Mary Anything Within Reason. That's live at 6 p.m. Eastern. But we have videos dropping every day, including Saturdays and Sundays. And don't forget, the aforementioned Trump Trolls Trump is dropping tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I think you're going to enjoy this one, especially since some things that should have ended up in a blooper reel stayed in the video. That's all I'll say. What else did I want to say? Easiest way to support us, become a member, watch our videos that aren't lives, the pre-recorded ones, like them, share them, comment on them. That all helps us tremendously. Okay, that does it for us tonight. I will see you all Wednesday at 6 o'clock Eastern time. In the meantime, please have an amazing weekend. Unplug if you can. Go do something. Go look at art. Go for a walk in nature. Write a poem. Something. And please, as always, stay safe and be kind. Bye.